turned violent. Let's bring in the chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Matt, this seems like this decision was somewhat of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, we are okay with having controversy on the stage at CPAC. We don't endorse everything every speaker says at CPAC. Matter of fact, since I've been chairman, we've tried to take the controversies, especially those amongst conservatives, and put them on our stage. But there are boundaries. And over the weekend, I was made aware of these comments, and it just broke through very important boundaries. And we felt like the CPAC stage was not an appropriate place for this any longer.
Rick Tyler.
Hey, Matt, it's Rick Tyler. Good morning.
So, good morning, Rick.
Milo, how do you? He doesn't seem like a conservative to me. I mean, the conservative movement seems to me it's in its place. He seems like an opportunist. So how did he get invited in the first place?
You know, I made the decision. He came to see me. He wanted to some remarks about his experience on campus, where he is often shut down, and there was so much press around his attempt to speak at Berkeley. We think that what happens with these speech codes and the chilling of free speech on campus is un-American. It's wrong, and he's brave to stand up in those situations.
But
we don't endorse everything.
Rick and I agree. Rick and I agree with that. The PC codes on college campuses are terrible, and they chill free speech. And there is a way for conservatives to push back on that hard, but he's also made some extraordinarily offensive anti-Semitic remarks. So can't you find somebody else, like get Ted Cruz to fire off a speech against PC codes on college campuses? Get anybody at CPAC that's not an anti-Semite.
Yeah, Joe, it's a fair point. But the other point is that whether we like it or not, he is a big voice in this movement. And we believe that our attendees can handle it and make their own judgments on whether or not they think a speaker is saying what is accurate or being inaccurate or being hateful. I don't want to shield that kind of conversation from our attendees. Matter of fact, a lot of our attendees want to have these controversies before them and make their own choices.
But, Matt, I know you, and I've known you for a very long time, and I know that you're the type of conservative that Rick and I are. You certainly condemn his anti-Semitic remarks, right? You're certainly deeply offended by those remarks, right?
Of course, and I think in this case, you know, I think that there are, I think that it's very important that we call balls and strikes when people are outside the zone, and I think there have been plenty of times when he's been outside the zone. The question is this: is it okay for people who are offensive on campus? And that was the point of why he was invited.
Hey, Matt, it's Willie Geist. Obviously, CPAC has always been a showcase for conservative thought, where the movement is headed.
Right.
Do you believe that Milo is conservative?
He doesn't call himself conservative. He calls himself more of a libertarian. Libertarians have a very important role at CPAC. Some libertarians would deny that he's a libertarian. I do think we're throwing around, Willie, a lot of lingo and a lot of, we're trying to categorize people.
Right.
The fact is he's got a voice that a lot of young people listen to. I would rather have our attendees hear it and make their own judgments than me censor him.
But you do concede, Matt, that even before this tape came out with the pedophilia discussion, that there were comments about race, there were comments about anti-Semitism, things that he had said that many, many people in that room would have already found offensive had that tape not even come out.
Yeah, that's right. And also there is this charge that he's associated with the alt-right, and which we find repugnant. But we talked to him about that and said, look, we don't want to put you on stage if those are views that you have. He said he does not have those views. And he said he simply was going to talk about the fight to be heard on campus, which I think is important.
Hey, Matt, 6 months ago, have you ever heard of this guy 6 months ago? Did you ever hear of him?
Yeah, I heard of. I saw some of his videos throughout the presidential campaign, and I had people in my family and friends of mine, you know, send me things that he said, and so yeah, I was aware of him.
Do you want to sort of look? We like you here. You're a nice guy. We're going to give you a chance. You described a few minutes ago Milo Yiannopoulos as being brave. Do you want to take that back?
No, I think when it comes to what he does on campus, you know, Mike, you and I have different politics, but you have a right to be heard in America, and you have a right to be heard on campus, and it's not fair on campus that just voices that emanate from seem to be cherished and not voices from the right.
Well,
and
that's
I also
not
have
true.
decided, as chairman of the American Conservative Union, I've had people say to me, we can't have speakers that are for gay marriage. And a couple of years ago, we broke through that and put people on the stage, and we've actually debated these issues that conservatives disagree on. I think there are disagreements about Milo and about what he says, and I'm comfortable with putting it on the stage and having that conversation, having that debate. He was going to have to answer all the tough questions by a moderator who had thought through these controversial statements and was going to challenge him on it. That being said, when the videos arose on his
Right.
comments on sexual abuse, we could not have it any longer.
So I saw this from Tim Stanley yesterday, a tweet. I understand anti-PC anger, and again, as a lot of us do, but in the desire to vent conservatism, conservatism is becoming decoupled from its ethical foundations and its pursuit of virtue. We're a long, long way in 2017 from Ronald Reagan, from William F. Buckley, from Russell Kirk. Do you agree with that that statement that the raging against the PC crowd has created a hostile environment in conservatism and in the movement that actually hurts conservatism?
I definitely agree with you when you say we're a long way from Ronald Reagan and William F. Buckley. Our culture is in a completely different place. And I think there's a lot of older traditional conservatives who are looking at younger voters or younger people in the country, and they despair for the fact that they think they've lost them. And they're trying to get them back. And we have to deal with the reality in which we live. And I think it is unfortunate. I think there are many things that Ronald Reagan would never have contemplated that are real and alive in our society. And it's important for folks to understand that the conservatives who assemble at CPAC expect to talk about the things that they see on their television sets and they read about. And it's not all pleasant. And it's not an endorsement just because you get an invitation. Matter of fact, an invitation sometimes is an opening to a debate and a conversation. Conservatives can have that, even if some folks on campuses can't.
Does CPAC have an official position on the alt-right?
I respect that.
Yeah, we do. We don't have an official position, but we've been very clear that we think racism has no voice in the conservative movement. We don't think the alt-right has anything to do with the conservative movement. We know that there are those who flirt with it, who maybe don't fully understand it. We'd like them to fully understand that it's something they should have nothing to do with. We won't endorse it, and we won't rationalize it.
All right. Matt, thank you for coming on.
Schlapp,
I know
thank you.
it's a tough day to come on. I appreciate
See you at CPAC, Matt.
Appreciate you coming on, and let us hope that this is a positive CPAC conference and one that embraces all of America, because if conservatives are going to win the battles in the future, we're going to have to reach out to a lot of different parts. Thank you, Matt. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
A lot of different parts.